Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Queuing It Up podcast. I'm Johnnie Taylor, City Manager for the City of Lexington in North Carolina. Today, we have a special guest with us that I'd like to introduce to you. His name is Chief Robby Rummage, and he currently serves as the police chief for the Lexington Police Department. Chief Rummage has been with the Lexington Police Department since 1999 and has worked in the Uniform Division and Criminal Investigations. Working his way through the ranks, he was appointed Chief of Police in March 2021. He graduated from Davidson County Community College with an associate degree in criminal justice. Chief Rummage also received a bachelor's degree in criminal justice from Western Carolina University and his master's in criminal justice from Fayetteville State University. He also completed the FBI Leader Trilogy program. Chief Rummage has received his Advanced Law Enforcement Certificate and is a graduate of the North Carolina Justice Academy Management Development Program. Chief Rummage is a graduate of the 253rd session of the FBI National Academy in Quantico, Virginia. Chief Rummage is a member of the North Carolina Association of Chiefs of Police, where he serves as Regional Director, and the North Carolina FBI National Academy Alumni Association, where he serves as District Representative, and he is also a member of the International Association of the Chiefs of Police. Okay, welcome Chief Rummage to Queuing It Up. It is good to have you here today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Mr. Taylor. I always enjoy to speak with you and excited about sharing this with members of our community.
Well, wonderful. We're going to get right into some questions and talk about a few things in regards to law enforcement and how things work in our community. So I kind of want to start this off by talking about recruiting efforts, and having qualified officers is important in our recruiting efforts. So tell us a little bit about the recruiting process and what it takes to become an LPD officer.
Yes, sir. So, we're always looking for qualified individuals that can be professional law enforcement officers. Now, one of the things that I like to explain to people is really, in essence, you're applying to two different entities. So if you look on our website, we currently have police officer trainee positions open, and we also have police officer positions open. The key difference there, which is what we get asked a lot, is a police officer trainee is someone who has never been to basic law enforcement training. So what will happen in that scenario is if you apply as a police officer trainee, you're going to apply through the City of Lexington, and then we review your application. Now, in essence, you're actually going to apply for two different things. And what I mean by that is once we have that city application, we're going to review it. One of our background investigators is going to reach out and contact you. And then we're going to have you do a separate application, which is driven by the state. Because a lot of times folks don't understand that we are actually applying to the North Carolina Criminal Justice Training and Standards Division. And they have a very robust process that we have to go by to do a background investigation, follow all of those things, meet those minimum requirements. Make sure you have someone of good moral character. We have an interview process. And once you make it through those things, we offer ride-alongs for those who are applying to get a different perspective so that you understand it. If you reach the point to where you have a conditional offer, then you must successfully pass a psychological examination, a medical examination, and then we can actually send your paperwork to Raleigh then to get you ready to be sworn in. And then, once you get sworn in, then you enter the field training officer process, which is a minimum of 16 weeks with one of our professional field training officers. And once you go through that 3 phases, which is a minimum of 16 weeks, you can be out as a solo officer.
Well, that's good to know. So let me make sure that I'm understanding this correctly. So for the sake of those that may be listening or watching, you're not actually just applying to be an officer here in the city of Lexington based off of Lexington's requirements. You're actually applying for a position, but then there are state requirements that are necessary in order for you to move further in the process.
Absolutely. And that process is, I welcome anyone that wants to learn more. Please go to ncdoj.gov, ncdoj.gov. Go to Criminal Justice Training and Standards. It has all of those requirements on there. And that is true for every municipal police department in the state. There's also a Sheriff's Training and Standards Division, which mirrors that for the sheriff's offices. But every police officer in the state has to be certified by that entity, and we must go through the same process, the background investigation, to ensure that you meet all those. And really, on the website, you'll be able to see all the forms that we use, that our background investigators use. All of that is available online.
Very good, very good. And so in addition to us placing emphasis on personnel, and that's definitely important, we also place an emphasis on being able to use the latest technology that is actually utilized across our nation as far as law enforcement. So could you tell us a little bit about some of the technology that we use to keep our residents safe and to help even with solving crimes?
Yes, so we have definitely added a lot of layers of technology in recent years. Definitely far from when I started 26 years ago. And what we're seeing is that AI does play a good part of that. But I don't like to get into specifics of what we use, but I can tell you that it's what I call a force multiplier. Obviously, we have cameras in different strategic locations so we can see things. We hold the Fourth Amendment very near and dear, so we're not out there. I don't want anybody in the public to be concerned about anything like that. But what happens is it does help us, our investigators, to gather information. And it helps us to develop leads, which is very important in all types of cases. We've also, in the recent years, we started incorporating drones for different reasons. Some of the reasons are like a forward observer. In some of our operations, we may use that. Missing children, we try to use stuff like that to help us locate people who maybe are missing. Those who maybe wanted and perhaps ran from us, we use them from those too. And these are things that are just kind of building blocks, as I'm sure we'll continue to grow on that through the years. You and I have had conversations about that several times about, how can we add pieces now to continue to build on?
Yes. And I thought about one conversation when we had where the drone was actually used to find someone that was missing. And if it hadn't been for the drone, there's a possibility that the outcome could have gone the other way.
Right.
So that's great. Recently we had a TV production team that was here in Lexington, and they came to do a documentary about a cold case from the past, and technology was used to solve that particular case. How much of what occurred can you tell us about how the LPD uses some of the technology to solve cold cases?
Well, in that case, it was DNA type stuff that was new on the scene. And like so many other cases, these particularly homicide cases that have gone cold for a number of years, they've never closed out. We're always looking at, we're re-looking at things and seeing what's out there now, what's available now that we could try to do. And the Mary Davis case was an example of that paid off. But those same efforts continue regularly on other outstanding cases. If we, see something that's occurred somewhere else in the state and it looks like it could be related, we use technology to, collaborate with and connect with other law enforcement agencies unlike any other time in my career. And so we're able to gain more leads and we go back and apply that knowledge to what is outstanding and say, what can be gleaned from here? And, Mary Davis is a great example of how that paid off. But it's important that I want people to know that it paid off because it matched up. But there's so many other cases that we're doing the same thing with, and my hope is there's going to be other technology that comes about that's going to fit in other cases. That's an ongoing effort.
Yeah, and we have to do exactly what you said. We have to keep our eyes open. We got to keep on researching and trying to utilize those things in such a way that we are just the best we can be as far as a law enforcement agency. Even though I'm biased, I believe we already are the best there is. But we'll keep striving and keep progressing and keep doing those things that are necessary to keep us at the forefront of law enforcement.
Well, I'll tell you too, it's exciting for our staff too, because I was an investigator for a number of years, and one of the most frustrating things for investigators is knowing who done something, but you can't prove it, because there's rules in the criminal justice system for a reason. There's thresholds of evidence for a reason, and it's so frustrating. And most of your police officers around here in any agencies will tell you that it's not what you know, it's what you can prove. And so this is helping us prove more cases. And so that is very exciting for our investigators, who their goal is to solve cases and to bring justice for the victims.
As you are well aware, I am a fan of community engagement, and we've had some conversations about, the overall environment surrounding law enforcement and how there have been some things that have occurred in past years that may have caused some misunderstandings and some concerns. And so I know we've talked about lining up some meetings and getting out here in the community so that we can have some conversations. And so what I wanted to say to you, when we do those things, what are you looking to accomplish?
Yes. So great question, and I'm glad to speak to that. I'm currently in conversations with a couple different people in the community from a lot of different perspectives from the community, because I don't want to take anything for granted. I want to make sure that I have a very good understanding of what folks' concerns are, what they're excited about, what they're concerned about, what they simply just have questions about out of curiosity, with the goal being that we do have in the spring to have community meetings so that the public can come out and do several things. They can see some of the great work that their police department's doing. They can ask questions about things that they are wondering about. My thing is, there's so much talk nationwide about different things involving so many things, particularly with law enforcement. And as a member of a community, there may be people like, well, what does that look like in Lexington? And I want to be able to explain that. I want them to explain that, hey, these, the good things we're doing, because we're doing some fantastic things. And to me, helping people have an understanding of what's happening, I think is very important. And there is a component of listening to people, what their concerns are. What are their complaints? Because I'm the first one to tell folks that we want to hear all the feedback, the good feedback, the stuff that we think we can do better. That's what we always strive to do, and that's what a professional agency does. It's professional doesn't mean that we're perfect. Professionalism really guides how you deal with your mistakes. So I couldn't be more proud of our staff. They do amazing work. But at the same time, we're all collectively want to keep pursuing professionalism.
And that's great. And I think another word that you're really kind of dealing with as well is, as an agency, we want to be accountable. Right. And so we don't mind the questions. We don't mind being taken to task as far as what we're doing. But we're going to continue to show that we are continuing to strive to be the best law enforcement agency that we can be. And we are definitely open to receiving feedback from our community.
Well, I think it's important to mention that, Yeah, we will have some community meetings coming up, dates to be determined, locations to be determined as we move forward. But if someone has questions, don't wait on a community meeting.
Right.
You can contact us through email. You can give us a phone call. I love having conversations with people because it's an opportunity to learn. It's an opportunity for, at times for the police department, myself to learn. There's an opportunity for a member of the community to potentially learn. I like to, I think learning and education is a huge part, and that goes two ways. So if someone wants to have a conversation about something, reach out to me. We'll schedule a meeting. I have no problem with that. I actually enjoy it.
Well, I'm glad you said that. I mean, sometimes when they hear us talking about meetings in the future, maybe the thought is, well, we have to wait till then. But that's good. You can call us as soon as you hear this podcast. If you have a question,
Right.
and we'll definitely reach back out to you if you don't get us at that particular time and give you some feedback. That's good. So here is my. I've got a question, a time machine question
Okay.
that I like to ask people who come on here. And the question is, what do you see law enforcement looking like 10 years from now? What are some of the things that you think may be kind of commonplace now that may not exist now?
Well, obviously technology is going to be on the forefront of that. However, I think it's got to be professional and do it right. It can't completely do away with relationships and collaboration between the community and the police. Whether it's the way we do things now or the way we've done things 25 years ago, there's always going to be a component that police and community have to work together. There's so many cases that we would never be able to solve if it wasn't for cooperation with the community. And even with technology in place, 10 years from now, at a higher level, that's still going to be in place. I do see it looking a little bit more advanced in some respects. I think there's going to be more public-private partnerships when it comes to sharing information, technological information. I believe that there's going to be, I used the phrase force multiplier for us, which means we're going to be able to have a single person with more eyes around the city, more things interfacing in technology that's going to inform our officers better, faster, when they're on the way to a scene. Because when they get a call, there's not a whole lot of information immediately available. But having all these different areas of information being gathered is going to prepare our officers more. But at the end of the day, too, I think we have to be purposeful in making sure that the relationships don't erode because of the technology, because there's no replacement for the relationships.
That's very good. So at the end of the day, regardless of what advances that are made technologically, there's still at the forefront of law enforcement is going to be that relationship between the officers or the agency and the community, and that's very exciting. To think about how we can continue to work to build those relationships as well as utilize a lot of this groundbreaking technology as we continue to try to provide services to our citizens.
Right.
So let me thank you, Chief, for taking the time to be here today. Thank you for what you're doing, and also thank you to all of our officers who are, sacrificing the time and effort and putting themselves even in harm's way to make sure that we have a good quality of life here, a safe environment, and a place that we can be proud to call our home.
I'd like to also thank you, and as you're so supportive of the staff throughout the city. I want to thank my staff at the police department. You're doing an amazing job. I know it's challenging, but they're up to the challenge every single day. And I know we've talked a lot about technology, but I think I really want to highlight the fact that there's no way to fabricate human compassion. And that's what I think, not only us, but everybody in our community, that if you're led with compassion, then that makes a big difference.
Absolutely. So thank you again for taking your time to be here. We look forward to all of those things that are coming. We look forward to those community meetings, and we look forward to continuing to see the LPD be the best law enforcement agency in the country. Thanks for joining us on this episode of Queuing It Up. If you got some value by listening to this episode, please subscribe and leave a review on the platform you're listening to this episode on. You can also follow us on social media at City of Lexington for updates on future episodes. For more information on the City of Lexington, please visit www.lexingtonnc.gov. We'll see you on the next episode.